I used to pray, God, please make my life easy forever. Until I realized if my life was easy, aka I had no contraction, I would never have any expansion. God provides us with a lot of opportunities, but it takes us really opening up our energetic field to be able to see it. Every desire that we have inside of ourselves, the very reason why we have that specific desire is because part of our soul knows that thing is meant to happen in our lives. Your desires are sacred. They are guiding you towards something. It's not about the desire, but it's about who you become in the quest of that desire. Your highest self speaks to you in whispers. I have a new quiz I created of what's your type of intuition. Some of us are more clairsentient. Some of us are claircognizant. Some of us are clairaudient. And some of us are more clairvoyant. This is our superpower of how our highest self communicates to us.
Trust flow, surrender, let go. Yeah. Trust flow, surrender, let go. I'm the one I've been waiting for. Trust flow, surrender, let go. Trust flow, surrender, let go. Trust flow, surrender, let go. I'm the one I've been waiting for. Yeah.
Welcome back to the Highest Self Podcast. My name is Sahara Rose, and on this podcast, I love to talk about spirituality, but make it modern, fun, grounded, and relatable so it can actually serve your needs. And in this little solocast that I like to do, I like to talk about the things that I'm personally, just contemplating over, thinking about, sending voice notes about, praying at my altar about. And the theme that has been showing up for me a lot recently is around divine timing. And I have seen in my life, especially over the past year, how divine timing is the key to everything. So we're going to talk about what divine timing is and how it may show up in your relationships, in your dharma, your soul's purpose, in having children, in pretty much everything in life. And before we drop into this episode, be sure to hit subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast. That is the best way to stay up to date on the latest episodes. We've got this in video format, so if you're just hearing my voice, be sure to also watch our fabulous outfits on video as well on Spotify, YouTube, or the Apple Store. This is the best way to stay in the flow with future conversations and also allows the podcast to reach more people. So hit subscribe so I can keep vibing with you on all future episodes. Now let's get into this one. So first of all, what is divine timing? So to me, divine timing is the sequential order that certain events have to go through in order for you to not just want this manifestation, but to be able to hold it. Because it's one thing to want the relationship, to want the money, to want the house, to want the family, but it's a whole other vibration that you need to really be sitting at to be able to hold the frequency of that thing. So the very reason why you don't have the things yet that you want are because your vibration is not quite yet at a place to hold it. You might be like, sorry, that's so mean. Doesn't mean I don't have everything I want right now either, okay? So we're all always learning, we're all always growing. And the truth is we actually wouldn't want those things to come into our lap too early because we wouldn't be in the place to be ready to hold it. So let's start with where I feel divine timing. Often we see it the most in relationships. So let's say there was this person in your life, you shared an incredible connection, there was so much love, maybe they felt like home to you, they felt like your twin, you can feel that you've had past lives together. It was such a deep connection that brought you so much in life. But for whatever reason, the relationship did not work out. Maybe you had to go separate ways or a situation needed to happen to cause you to let go. So divine timing brought you into each other's lives for a reason, but also brought you apart. And now you're on this journey of what happens next. What are the lessons learned? What are the things coming up? And those are the very things that your soul is asking you to integrate for you to really receive what you want on the other side. So I feel like where a lot of people get stuck is they get really focused on manifesting a specific person. I mean, you see it all over YouTube. Manifest your SP, that specific person. But the truth is, if divine timing is not in order, you would not want to manifest that person back into your life. Because if you weren't able to hold the resonance once, you would likely not be able to hold it again. And it's often in the letting go and evolution of who you become on the other side that potentially that person comes back into your life. But you need to go on that journey of becoming to actually come back into a potential harmony. So I feel we often try to force things in relationship when we're trying to like make something happen, or even like write down their name on our full moon ritual instead of trusting the divine timing. So I see divine timing as the cause and effect of events that need to take place in order for you to actually be able to now hold this relationship. So, for example, maybe there was some codependency going on in your relationship, some enmeshment, you were losing yourself, and you needed to go on that journey of individuation. You needed to learn how to be alone. You needed to learn how to sit in your own sovereignty. You needed to learn how to share your voice. You needed to even learn, what are my likes, my interests, my preferences? And these are things that you could only do outside of the relationship. And only when you fully embody that lesson of sovereignty and being alone and understanding who you are and being in your full expression, that then that person or someone else shows up into your field. So trust that if a situation is showing up into your field, it is because of divine timing. And also, if it is not showing up in your field, it is because of divine timing. So something I saw when I sat with ayahuasca was that the universe is almost like inside of a train. So, you know, when you like have looked inside of a train, like in movies and stuff, and it's like this like conductor thing, and then like something else that's connected to it, like a conveyor belt and something else. And it's like all these puzzle pieces, and they're like moving, and it's moving something else and moving something else. And if one little piece of that goes off, the entire train stops working. What is your unique type of intuition? Are you someone that feels things in your body, sees a vision for something, hears a voice in your head, or just knows? This quiz is going to help you understand your unique intuitive type and how you can take action on it in creating a career that honors your intuitive gifts. All right, let's get into it.
So trust your intuition, trust your inner wisdom, trust your inner guidance, close your eyes and listen.
That is how I kind of saw divine timing, that there are a certain web chain of events that need to happen, this cause and effect of this dark night of the soul, which is, you know, an on your knees moment, you know, a health scare, a breakup, a legal crisis, something that really knocked you off of your feet. Sometimes you needed to have that dark night of the soul in order for you to have the realizations that happened on the other side. Those realizations led to you taking different actions. Those different actions led to you living in a different place. Living in a different place led to you receiving codes from that place, meeting certain people. Like this whole chain of effects needed to happen for the manifestation to actually come through. So really, divine timing shows us that a manifestation can only come through when we become a vibrational match to be able to actually embody that thing. So it's only when you are able to embody love that you finally find yourself in that love that you deeply desire. Now, the trick is, again, to be able to hold it. Can you hold the lessons that you've learned through the dark night of the soul when that thing that you want has appeared, or do you fall back into old patterns? You know, we can, for example, I see a lot of women go through heartbreak as their dark night of the soul. As women, we learn our lessons through love often. Men tend to learn their lessons more through their mission. So for us, it's often the realms of the heartbreak and the heart opening, though we all learn lessons in either way. So what I see a lot of women is they go through the heartbreak and they're like, fuck, I can't believe I lost myself in that relationship. Like, I'm going to learn how to stand on my own feet. I'm going to be sovereign. I'm going to create my own space. I'm going to become my own dream girl. And they step into this new frequency and they have this amazing glow up and all these epiphanies, and they're traveling and they're doing them. And then an opportunity for another relationship comes. And often, because they just so deeply want to be back in love, they let go of all of the lessons learned. And then what happens is divine timing has given them this opportunity of this person coming their way, but because they have not yet embodied that thing, they may go back to relearning the lesson again. So we actually can shift the timing and speed of things in our lives according to how quickly we integrate the lesson that we've learned. So we can intellectually know the lesson of, I learned sovereignty through this breakup, but to actually embody it, and embodying it might mean you meet someone that you have an incredible chemistry, incredible spark with, but you catch yourself now hiding yourself, losing yourself. In that moment of awareness, are you going to do that same dance of losing yourself in relationship? because divine timing is just going to come again and you're going to relearn the same entire pattern? Or are you going to become aware that there is a part of me that wants to, kind of merge with this other person? Now, what parts of me are in the light in this? That's a beauty of, I do believe in every relationship, there is a necessary death that happens, that the moment you enter into a partnership, that old version of you does die, and that's the light of that. That's the light of losing yourself to love, like losing yourself to something greater than you. And that's a beautiful energy of devotion. I even want to change. It's not so much losing yourself, but it's releasing that old snake skin of who you've become. Because divine timing shows us that there are certain levels of lessons that we need to experience in each chapter of our lives. So potentially for you being single, it was about learning how to be alone, learning how to be sovereign. And once you fully embodied that, then the next thing that happens is you shed the snakeskin of now the next lesson is to learn how to merge with someone else, learning how to be interdependent with someone, not codependent, not entirely sovereign, but interdependent. And so when we integrate the lessons, the divine timing actually speed tracks that we're actually now in this entirely new reality that would have taken us a couple loops around to be able to get to, but we're getting to it with greater speed because we're awake in the experience. So the way to become more awake in the experience, which means aware of what's happening, aware of what's showing up, is whatever is on your mind right now, like whatever is that thing that you're stressing about, you're not sure what to do about it, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? If this was a lesson that my soul purposely created for me exactly to teach me that very thing I need for my greatest wish, if this was the exact lesson that if I pass this test, I will be on the other side, what do I think this lesson is about? What is this group project we're working on? What is this honors class that I'm in? Is it around surrender? Is it around sharing your voice? Is it around letting go? Is it around standing up? That's the thing with spiritual teachings is it's a paradox. Sometimes you got to learn how to go with the flow. Sometimes you got to learn how to stand in the fire, and there's every spectrum in between. So I do believe that every desire that we have inside of ourselves, like a desire for true love, a desire to be living in our soul's purpose, a desire for abundance, the very reason why we have that specific desire is because part of our soul knows that that thing is meant to happen in our lives. Otherwise, we would not have the desire for it. Like, I don't have the desire to, build like a bunch of soccer fields around the world, but I guarantee you someone who likes soccer does, or I don't have the desire to travel to outer space. A lot of people have that desire. It's not meant for me. It's not part of my life's path, but for some people it is. So your desires are sacred. They are guiding you towards something, but it's not about the desire, but it's about who you become in the quest of that desire. So maybe the desire is sacred union, but who you become on the quest of the sacred union is actually the spiritual journey. So I want you to ask yourself, based on what you desire right now, like what is that thing that you are calling in, you are praying for, that if we were to do a ritual right now, that is the thing that you would be manifesting. What is that thing for you? Now think about the shitty thing happening in your life right now. The thing that's annoying, the thing that's taking up all of your time, the thing that honestly, if you didn't have this going on, you would have been there, but you have to deal with this thing. Okay. Now let's just say your soul was playing a little teacher game. Your highest self was the teacher of the classroom, and it set up this class specifically for you. And this is the exact class you need. And it's set up the perfect project. And this perfect project is really going to help you learn all of the critical learning skills, communication abilities, discernment, all of the tools for you to actually have that desire. Why did your highest self set up this exact situation? Na, 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 na. I mean, I can already feel you're like, yeah, okay, I get it, Sahara. I get it. Because the thing that happens is when we get out of, and I feel like this word is really charged, but I'm going to use it because it's the most common word. But when we get out of feeling like we are the victim of our circumstances, we never are. We are the creator of our circumstances. Even if they suck, even if they're not fair, even if it feels like this is someone else's problem that was put onto your own plate, if you're in it, there's a reason why. So how am I related to this thing? And why would my soul put me exactly in this relationship with this experience for me to learn the thing that I really want to learn? So, for example, if you really want to learn unconditional love in this lifetime, you're likely going to go through betrayals. Because the betrayals are what will teach you what unconditional love really is. To love someone, even if what they did was fundamentally wrong. But to love someone even through that. Like that is some Jedi mastery shit right there. So how is the circumstance you're in right now actually preparing you to embody the exact energy that you can only have to embody that thing that you desire? How is this the perfect classroom for it? And once you realize it, once you're like, this is teaching me this, then do you know what happens? It's like, you kind of fast forward the movie. And then reality shifts because they're like, okay, she got it. We don't need to now make this situation more and more and more and more and dire until she gets it. She's got it now. So now the next lesson unfolds. And the next lesson, and the next lesson, and the next lesson. But you don't have to stay stuck on one lesson. Most people stay stuck on one lesson for like a fucking lifetime. Like their souls are still not learning. Their souls are still like, oh, why is this still happening? It's so unfair. I could have been this, but instead I'm over here dealing with that. And it's like your soul is like, I've been waiting for you to understand I am your teacher. I'm trying to get you to get through this on the other side because you said you wanted this thing. Like, how do we expect to have the thing when we don't do the work that it takes to get there? It's like, I can't expect to have this podcast that has had 50 million plus downloads had I not sat for thousands of hours at this point and talked and listened to myself and got a little bit better and put myself out there and showed up day in and day out for 8 years. So 8 years of just doing this podcast for me to be in this embodiment. So I share this because I feel we hear these things in spirituality of like, just put it on your vision board, it will happen. I could have put this whole set on my vision board. It would not have happened had I not started showing up. You got to show up for your shit. You got to really look at, what is this teaching me? We as humans like often only learn through contraction. We only learn things when it's so uncomfortable to stay where we are. It freaking hurts. We're being smushed alive. It's like only in that moment are we like, fuck, the shoe's too tight. I need to get some bigger shoes. It's like, you knew at the shoe store. You knew. You tried on that shoe. It is half a size too small, but you know what? It's going to stretch. And they don't have your size. And it's on sale. So you know what? It's going to stretch out. It's going to be totally fine. Yeah, I'm good. I'm just going to cut my toenails a little bit. It'll be fine. You go on that walk, even though they told you you cannot return it once you wear it outside, but you're like, I'm good. The material is going to give out. So you go on that walk and your feet are hurting a little bit. So you kind of disassociate from it. You know, you just kind of keep going, drink some coffee, keep going. An hour into the walk, it's like, okay, can we sit down for a moment here? Can we just take a little foot rest? You're like untying your shoes, kind of stretching them out. By the end of the day, your shit is calloused. You might have a little bleed going on over there. I remember when I was younger, there was like Ferragamo flats. This was like back when I thought designer shit was very cool. And I was like, and they were on sale. I was like, I need these. Like, I need them in my life. And they did not fit at all. Like, girl, my toes were curled over. But they were Ferragamo flats and they were on sale. And so I got them and I would bleed. My toes would literally bleed. So I would put on like Band-Aids. I would like strap up like I'm going to like war, like a ballet class or something and put these on. And eventually it was just like, why? Well, that's like what our souls do, right? Our souls are like, she will not learn until the shoe is so tight and her shit's on fire to be like, wait, I need to take off this shoe. I need to take off this relationship, this belief pattern, this way of being, this job, this friendship, this whatever the thing is. Spirit will make it so tight, so uncomfortable that you're like, oh my God, I said I wanted freedom, but I'm completely strapped, for you to break free out of the cocoon and spread your butterfly wings out into the world. So life is just a series of expansion and contraction. We expand, we contract, we expand, we contract. I'm going to tell you something that's going to happen for the rest of your life. You know, I used to pray. I used to be like, God, please make my life easy forever. Thank you. You know, I really want that to happen, until I realized if my life was easy, AKA I had no contraction, I would never have any expansion. Like if I decided at 21 years old, like I just want to do what's easy, AKA comfortable, AKA known, I would not have learned and grown for the past 12 years of my life. Like I would have stayed stuck at my 21-year-old self perpetually. And that shit would have been, I was like very, very deep into my yoga practice. So I would have been like, I mean, back bending like a motherfucker, but definitely wouldn't be here on this podcast. I'd probably be in like in the Himalayas somewhere. So maybe I should have done that. No, I'm kidding. So I share this because our desires change. Our desires evolve. And the whole point of the desire is not actually the desire, but it's the journey to acquire that desire. Because we believe that once I have that desire, I will feel that kind of way. And the way to, the cheat code to the game is, I desire that thing. I desire sacred union relationship. You know, I desire true partnership where we see each other. I feel heard, seen, met, felt understood, valued. Okay. And now, how can I start feeling that way in this moment of time? How can I see myself more? How can I hear myself more? How can I understand myself more? How can I value myself more? How can I cherish myself more? Am I choosing myself? And it's so interesting because I see a lot of women, they're like, you know, I want a man where I'm just enough for him. It's like, do you feel that you are enough for yourself? Because the way that this reality works, it really is a hologram. Like once you realize it, you're like, shit, we are literally playing The Sims right now. And for some reason, I don't have cool art on my wall. But it is a Sims game. You know, it is this cause and effect. And it's these preparations that need to happen through the contractions that lead to the expansions. And then the expansions sync up with other people's expansions. And you're both like, damn, we both went through a dark night of the soul at the same time. And we learned very similar yet like complementary things. And now our expansion causes us to come together. And I feel that's the thing that we don't talk about in the spiritual community, that like we all talk about like manifesting the ideal partner and, you know, they've done the healing work and, you know, all of these things. But the only way that someone will do that deep healing work is through the shitty situation, through the dark night of the soul, through the trauma. But then here we are waiting for someone who's like has no trauma, but they wouldn't have gone on the healing journey that you value without the trauma. So God provides us with a lot of opportunities for love, opportunities for friendship, opportunities for careers, opportunities for many different things. But it takes us really opening up our energetic field to be able to see it. So divine timing is always happening. And I would say that divine timing, if something is really meant to be, it will keep circling in your field until you walk through that door. So if there's someone you're meant to meet, I have found it's like they will keep showing up in your life again and again and again until it's like, okay, bitch, like we're supposed to meet, like what's up, you know? However, that might take years for it to happen, for you to open up enough to receive it. And when we become more open, when we learn how to speak the language of the universe, which is synchronicities, which is flow, which is divine alignment, then we're like, okay, if this is a Sims game and my highest self is the one playing, where are they trying to guide me right now? What are the breadcrumbs? What are the little clues they're leaving me? Because your highest self can't be like, take a left, but you might hear a little voice in your head be like, just try taking a left this time. If you're interested in diving deep into shadow work, ancestral healing, tuning into your intuition, Ayurveda, ancient wisdom, ceremonies, rituals, and so much more, then you are designed to be a spiritual life coach. This is someone that is a guide, an oracle, a person who dives people deeper into their own truth. You powerfully ask people questions to dive them deeper into their own understanding and use your intuitive gifts, whether you are someone that feels, sees, hears, or senses, or knows. And this is exactly what we train you to do in Highest Self Institute's new Spiritual Life Coach certification. Over the next 6 months, you'll be diving deep with myself and my team in learning all of the tools and modalities to create a private practice as a spiritual life coach. And you'll be coached every single week, one-on-one with your peers, to actually apply these tools into your own life. So imagine how far you will be 6 months from now, every single week, diving into your shadows, your healing, your intuition, your dharma, and so much more. You know when you're in silence and all of a sudden you get this aha realization that completely shifts the course of your life? Imagine if you actually created space for that and were coached by someone who took you deeper into your truth every single week. So the way the training is created is every week you'll receive a module from myself and my co-founder, Dr. Neeta, teaching about all of the tools and practices, including our highest self method of spiritual life coaching, which is only found here at the Institute. Then you'll have a live Q&A call with us where you can ask any of your questions. I will also be laser coaching you. So this is the only container that I personally coach in, and the realizations that you will have and see other people have truly are a force field. Then there is a weekly live practice pod where you will actually be able to practice in breakout groups the coaching practices of that week. And then you'll be able to receive feedback to really give you confidence in coaching, which is something I have never seen in a coaching institute before. And our unique approach to spirituality is ancient and feminine. So if you are drawn to the body, the womb, the heart, the intuition, love, beauty, ceremony, ritual, and art as a spiritual pathway, then you are on a divine feminine spiritual path. And this looks very different than the hyper masculine or new age spirituality that is what most of the space is. So we really created this curriculum by women for women, honoring our femininity. And we also don't stay surface level. We dive deep. You know how we do it here on the podcast. Imagine going even deeper into the how and giving you the tools and practices to share with other people. So your highest self speaks to you in whispers. It speaks to you in little nudges. I have a new quiz I created of what's your type of intuition. Some of us are more clairsentient. We feel things in our body. You might have a gut feeling, an ache in your shoulders, like a ick or an Some of us are claircognizant. We just know. I don't even know how I know this thing. I just know it. That's my main one. Some of us are clairaudient. We hear things. You might hear a melody, hear a voice. It might be the voice in your own head. But it's like, talk to that person. Say this thing, go this way. I definitely have that happen as well a lot. And some of us are more clairvoyant. We see a vision of things like a hologram or a map or in our dreams or auras or pictures of things. If you're very visual, artistic, you're going to have that. So this is our superpower of how our highest self communicates to us. And when we can start to understand and speak that language, we become more fluent in it. And then our highest self is like, okay, finally, she learned the language. She learned the mother code. So I can send her more messages now. So then all of a sudden, your life just becomes this like game. And like everything is showing you something. And it's like, holy shit. Like, how did I not realize this before? And the thing is, it's like it was happening before. You just weren't aware of it. And once you become aware of it, I do believe your highest self turns it up a notch. So you might have like a little like inkling to like look something up on your phone. You know, you look up a word in your text and all of a sudden you see a conversation with someone that you hadn't looked at in years and it was like exactly what you needed to read. And so I really love to work with intentions because I feel like setting intentions around specific things that we are desiring to call in rather than people can help speed track this. So if your desire is, you know, partnership or living your dharma or your expression or having a child, you know, writing that down and placing it under a candle and burning that candle every morning and every night. And every time you burn it, even just taking 5 minutes to just sit in front of that candle, pray upon that thing, thank that thing, like, thank you so much to my future child. Thank you so much. Like, pray for your future husband. Visualize yourself living your dharma. Feel the excitement, you know, whatever your clair is, however your intuition speaks through, you really bring that through and be in devotion to that thing. And I find that through this, it starts to speak to you. You get a lot of downloads and realizations right when you're there at the altar. Because what you're doing is you're creating a portal. So what is a portal? A portal is not just in, you know, Atlantis and Lemuria. You can actually create a portal in your own home through setting up a sacred space, setting up an altar where you're really tuned into a specific frequency. So then every time you go there, that space has been activated. So every time you stand in that spot, you kind of go back into the energy that you were at before. Because if this is your space where you're calling in sacred union, you're imbuing that location with sacred union energy, and you're actually creating a sacred site within your home. So if we've ever been to a sacred site such as, you know, temples in Egypt, Machu Picchu, even churches, you feel the resonance there. You feel the frequency walking through that temple or that mosque, like something is sacred here. You can create that in your home. The reason why you're feeling that in that sacred site is because it has been imbued with so much energy. So many people are coming there for that intention, that it's activating the space. So you just being there, you are feeling the amplification of all of the energy that has been there. On top of that, they're often made on like specific like geographical locations where there's crystals or grids, et cetera. Plus, you know, the architecture of it, et cetera. There's so much to sacred sites, and it's something I believe every spiritual person must have on their to-do list, travel to sacred sites, because you really get a lot of realizations and upgrades from doing so. And create that sacred space in your home. Because when you set up an altar, so an altar is, you know, having a table where you have your cloth, candles, statues, you know, intentions, flowers, Palo Santo, sage, whatever sacred objects you have that matter to you. And it could just be even like one thing. And showing up at your altar in the morning and at night and just really meditating, really giving gratitude, really feeling the frequency of that thing. You start to imbue that place with energy. You're creating a portal. And now you are quantum leaping. You are speed tracking that reality. Now you're going to experience more synchronicities. You're going to have more downloads and realizations when you're there and after. The universe is going to speak to you more clearly, and divine timing is going to unfold in even faster speed. So people ask me all the time, they're like, how did you create your reality? You know, I went from literally living in a hut in India for $2 a night with rats in it. My family disowned me. I had no idea what I was doing with my life. I had no book deal. I wanted to write a book. I had never met an author before. I was so lost, so confused, no idea what to do next. That was me 10 years ago right now, making $200 something a month. That was all I needed to live in South India. 2, creating a multiple 7-figure business, writing 4 books, creating this podcast, which is the #1 spirituality podcast, creating my coaching institute, my membership community, speaking on stages at Facebook, Google. I mean, having a team, reaching 2 million people a month, like my entire life has shifted. And it has not been because I just worked hard. I did work hard, and it's through my spiritual path. It's through the divine timing. It's through becoming aware, becoming awake within the dream. It's through speaking the language of the universe. It's through letting spirit lead me. It's through trusting the path and letting it all unfold and just surrendering the control. It's through being the vessel that I am meant to be here in humanity. And that is what your birthright is as well, in your own unique way. When we surrender our wants and our preferences, instead just say, Spirit, you guide me. You show me who I'm meant to meet, how I'm meant to show up, what I'm meant to say. I am listening. I am just an open vessel and an open channel, and you lead me. You place the words through my mouth that I am meant to share with others. And sometimes the words won't even make sense. Like, you're like, why am I about to say this right now? But I'm just going to say it because I feel it. And it's like exactly what that person needed to hear. Maybe even right now it's happening. I don't know what I'm about to say next, but maybe this is exactly what you need to hear because you have felt this inside you too. So this is the power of opening ourselves up to a state of surrender. We allow ourselves to actually become so much more. Because when we're so focused on what we want, I want this person, this job, this house, this, we actually put ourselves in this tiny little box, in this tiny little box. It might be a great box, a box that you really want right now, but you have no idea what else is out there. You have no idea who you might meet in 1 month, where your life might be in 1 year, who you might be 10 years from now. That's just unimaginable. This is why a long time ago, I stopped setting goals. I don't believe in having goals because if I were to have achieved any of the goals I had before, my life would not look like this. Because at some point, my goal was to be a dolphin trainer. I mean, again, could have been fun. At some point, my goal was to create a skincare company. At some point, my goal was this, my goal was that. And it's like, instead of setting these goals based on where you are now and then like limiting yourself to just that point in time, why don't you just continually open yourself up to how you are meant to share today? And when you allow yourself to show up for how you're meant to share today, you evolve. Let's say, I've been doing this podcast for 8 years because I know the other side of that might be, well, then how do you stick to anything? Imagine if I decided when I started this podcast, this is how this podcast is. This is the format of it. This is my tone of it. This is what I talk about. And this is it forever. I would have still been like reading my shit off a piece of paper because that's how I started it, because I did not trust my voice. If you go back to my episode 1, 8 years ago, I wrote that shit down, printed it out, and I was reading off of it because I didn't trust my voice. I didn't feel like I could just talk on a whim or something. And now, I'm just shooting the shit with you, So I share this because let's say I decided at that point, my goal is to have this like really well thought out podcast. And, I'm going to write down all my main points and make sure, I have some research behind it. It wouldn't have been this. So it doesn't mean that you have to abandon ship of like, oh, another shiny thing. But it's allowing the evolution within that container, the evolution within your dharma, within your soul's purpose, the evolution within the relationship, the evolution within the friendship. It's when we decide this is how something is supposed to be and it's only going to be this forever, that thing breaks the moment you've decided that. The moment you've decided this is what it is and now I know it and we have to define it and it's only going to be this, it's inevitably broken because it will change because everything in life changes. Now, this does not mean you cannot have that person, that career, that home, etc. for the rest of your life. You can. I do believe like certain people in my soul fam, I hope with my partner that we are together forever, but I would be kidding myself to believe that it will be the exact same way forever. So it's allowing, and through divine timing, the contraction and the expansion. I have found in so many people's lives, it's actually through their greatest contraction, when they're about to break up, get divorced, quit the job, like throw in the towel, that the greatest expansion, the greatest love, the greatest success, the greatest purpose comes on the other side of that. It's actually only when we're squeezed to the extent that we can, that Spirit's like, okay, you got it? You good? Okay. And then when you release it, it's like, remember those like fairies like that floated in the air, those toys? what were those called? Flying fairies? They were not Polly Pockets. Like, anyways, it was these fairies and there was a string and you would like pull it and they would spin in the sky, and it was so cool, but they would always get stuck somewhere up there. So anyways, the only way for them to spin into the sky is you got to pull it. You got to contract it. You got to like wind her up. And then from the release of that energy, she's flying in the sky. And that's what life is. Life puts you through the ringer. It puts you through the laundry machine. And you might right now be in the laundry machine of life where you're like, fuck, I am so in it right now. Like, I can't even think. Like, I don't even know how I ended up here on this podcast, but I feel like she's just talking to me right now. So I'm gonna keep listening. Like, you might be there right now. And if you are, kudos, because you're in a portal right now. You're in a portal that your soul specifically created to give you the level of contraction in the exact way that you needed to have the exact type, duration, and speed of expansion that you were meant to have on the other side. Should you choose it? Okay, here's the caveat right here. Should you choose it? Not everyone lives in the state of life. There are a lot of people who live in a chronic state of contraction. There are a lot of people that divine timing knocks at their door, but they say, no, it's supposed to look like this. No, I'm not ready for it. No, I'm not this. I'm not that. Have you ever like started dating someone and things are going so well and they're like, I'm not where I want to be in my life. This isn't going to work out. You're like, I don't need you to be where you want to be in your life. Let's just see. And they're like, no, I'm not. And they're just so in their heads. It's like, who knew? Y'all could have been the Notebook, but you got to just trust that it wasn't meant to be. So I share this because divine timing is knocking on everyone's door. Everyone has the ability to live in the state of flow, but most of us, we're so in our heads, we're so in these like small realities that we've created for ourselves of like, no, first it needs to be like this, then it needs to be like that, based on our own egoic perspective. Yes, certain cause and effect need to happen, but you're not the one that's choosing it. You're not the one, like, we might think, oh, for me to get into a relationship, I need to do 3 years of therapy. And then I need to go to this retreat. And then I need to do this and that. And then like all of a sudden you're like falling in love with your next door neighbor. And you're like, no, this was not supposed to happen. You are not the guy I wrote on my list. Like, what is happening right now? Turn this off. Like, I am not ready. Or, this is what he's supposed to look like. All of the things. And it's like, oh, you wanted the teaching? Oh, it was actually about you opening up to realize that love is everywhere. You didn't need to do that in 3 years of therapy. Here's the experience for you right now. So trust whatever you're in right now, whatever you're learning right now is perfect for you. It's perfect. And none of us have the same curriculum. It's so intelligent, the way that this curriculum is designed. And by the way, I want to share that sometimes the curriculum is you have an opportunity for something, for a relationship, for a job, and the opportunity might not be right for you, based on what you want to learn and grow. So it doesn't mean that every time you feel feelings for someone, every time there's an opportunity presented that you need to say yes. There is a master discernment between your sacred yeses and your sacred nos. And I feel most of us, we are either like yes people or no people. So yes people are the ones that are like, you call them up, you're like, do you want to go to Africa on Friday? They're like, yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, I'm gonna have to put on my credit card, but let's do it. They're yes. They say yes to everything. They need to learn how to say no. They're the ones who might be out every night. They're the ones who everyone borrows money from them and things from them. They might get taken advantage of. They might like start a lot of projects and they need to learn how to say no. They need to learn how to be alone, how to have boundaries, how to spend more time at home, how to not be in the people pleaser energy or the escapist energy. So if you're a yes person, it's about channeling your sacred no's. So your mantra will literally be no, no, no. And feeling that in your body, like feeling yourself with the no, feeling it in your gut, feeling it in your feet. What does it feel like to say no? And for those of us that are chronically no people, hey, do you want to come over? No. Do you want to come to this birthday? No. Do you want to go to Africa? Hell no. Do you want to meet my friend? No. So these are the people who much rather be at home alone, only hang out with people, like no new friends. They like their routine. They like their comfort zone. They like to go to bed at a certain time. They got to have their specific morning practice. They like to kind of be in control of their environment, of the people around them, and they'd rather not rock the boat. So for them, the mantra is yes. Yes. Practicing putting your arms up and pulling down. yes, 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 yes. And feeling the excitement of saying yes to more things. Feeling the opportunities that could be awaiting you when you say yes to more things. Feeling the adventures waiting to happen, the friends that have not been made, the ideas, the projects that have not yet been birthed, that are simply waiting for you 5 doors down. But you're already saying no at the first door. So are you more of a yes person or a no person? And can you channel the opposite side? Because ultimately we need to have a level of both. We need to learn, you know what? I don't know what this is all about, but I feel interested and curious about this. So yes, let's just give it a go. And also I would really love to be there. It sounds so much fun, but like, I know I need to take more time for myself right now. So it's a no. And we need to like be able to use both hands, right? Because if we get stuck in one, then our lives are going to go on one extreme or the other. And I feel we have phases in our lives. A phase in your life, you're in a yes time. Let's just say yes to everything. Go on a surrender experiment where I say yes, 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 and see what happens. And you might be in a no time of, I really need to have more boundaries. I'm really prioritizing my family right now. I really need to make sure I finish this project. So I'm a no. And so there may be, like when I'm writing a book, I'm a no to so many things. After my divorce, I became a yes to so many things. And, and it oscillates. So I share this because these are really the kind of realizations you get through contemplation. And contemplation, taking time in ceremony, taking time to meditate, taking time to do breath work, to journal, to dance, to go on walks, to be in stillness, even just like lying down in your bed in the morning and just like contemplating and noticing what thoughts come to mind. This is how you start to have this awareness. And if we all just did this, we just carved out a little bit of time to just sit with ourselves. It's like our spirit is talking to us all the time. It's like always like, blah, 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 and we're just like, shut up, I'm on TikTok, So let your spirit speak to you, let it come through, because the messages, the awareness that it will bring you will take you on such a path that your soul could never fathom. And your greatest dreams, those desires that you have, they are waiting for you. They are sacred. They are part of you. So trust them. So some resources for you. I have my new spiritual life coaching 6-month certification. So that trains you to become a certified spiritual life coach. So to learn concepts like this in a deep way where I'm teaching them live every single week, as well as with modules and practice Q&A calls and feedback. And you also learn how to be a coach. So you learn how to coach people through these experiences of listening to their intuition, trusting divine timing, noticing the synchronicities. All of this is deep in the curriculum and you're practicing it, learning how to coach it. So if this is something that you would love to integrate in your career, I definitely recommend becoming a certified spiritual life coach with us at Highest Self Institute. So I will have the link for that below so you can learn more, join our waitlist, and join us for when doors are open. Some more resources. I have my book, Discover Your Dharma. So if you are interested in stepping more into your higher purpose, understanding what your calling is, that book is all about that. I have a number of other books as well and many podcast episodes here. So be sure to subscribe wherever you are listening to this, YouTube, Spotify, leave a review. And as a free gift as well, I will share with you my womb meditation. So all of the links I mentioned and the email are in the show notes. Thank you so much for tuning in today. This was indeed in divine timing. It was meant to happen. And I'm excited to hear about the synchronicities and the realizations that unfold on the other side. So please share with me on the YouTube comments, on your reviews. I love learning and hearing from you guys. Share with me on Instagram because it's just like I'm being used by God. We're all being used by God here. We're all like sharing the message, So I feel it just finds people at the right timing. It's just so cool to see. And we're like, okay, we locked in. So thank you so much for tuning in and I'll see you in the next one.
Trust your intuition, trust your inner wisdom, trust your inner guidance. Close your eyes and listen. Surrender, let go. So trust your intuition, trust your inner wisdom.